Nur Anisha Fika binti Sabaruddin. My student ID is 2022877662. Today I will discuss a critical issue impacting small and medium enterprise SMEs in Malaysia, the funding lacuna. Small and medium enterprise are defined as business that meet specific criteria regarding sales turnover or the number of full-time employees. For instance, in the manufacturing sector, an SME has a sales turnover not exceeding 50 million or fewer than 200 employees. In the service sector, the threshold are a sales turnover of 20 million or fewer than 75 employees. Small and medium enterprise play a vital role in Malaysia's economy, representing about 98.5% of all registered business and contributing significantly to employment and GDP. Despite the perception that financing options are plentiful, many SMEs struggle to access necessary bank loans and institutional funding. This situation arises from a significant mismatch between the demand for financing from SMEs and the supply available from financial institutions. While the Malaysian government has made substantial investment in various financial schemes to support SME growth, these efforts have not fully resolved the underlying challenge that contribute to the funding gap. Furthermore, existing research predominantly focus on the difficulties faced by SMEs in securing funds, leaving a notable gap in understanding the lending practice and criteria of financial institutions. We aim to bridge this research gap by analysing both demand and supply side issues relate to SME financing. We will also highlight the policy response implemented by the government to address these challenges. Ultimately, our goal is to provide insight that can enhance access to finance for SMEs, fostering their growth and contribution to Malaysia's economy. Now, let's explore the conceptual framework surrounding the SME funding gap. This framework is grounded in the financing gap hypothesis, which highlights the constraints faced by small and medium enterprises in accessing finance. Historically, economy has given little attention to small firms. The assumption that a company's size does not affect its ability to raise funds has been challenged by numerous studies. Research indicates that smaller enterprises encounter significantly greater financing obstacles compared to larger firms, with this constraint having a more pronounced impact on their growth. When we examine the funding landscape, we can identify both supply side and demand side issues. On the supply side, banking systems tend to underserve SMEs, resulting in limited access to essential financial products like export financing, leasing options, and long-term loans. Conversely, from the demand side, SMEs often face challenges such as information asymmetry and a perception of high risk among lenders, which further complicates their ability to secure funding. In conclusion, effectively addressing the SME funding gap requires comprehensive understanding of both the demand and supply side factors that contribute to persistent issues.
Hi, my name is Irda Syahira and my student number is 2022849754. Here I am going to explain the perspective from both sides, which I'm going to explain the demand side perspective first. So SME faces difficulty in accessing financial resources, especially at seed, startup and growth stages. This is influencing the funding gap, which include the backgrounds of SME borrowers, fund availability and accessibility. The first problem is defining the access problem. The reason is because it has to be categorized into several dimensions. The next problem is information asymmetry. It arises from the poor financial record, lack of collateral, and market risk. These problems could result in credit rationing, where banks are reluctant to lend to SME. Third problem is SME financial sophistication. So according to the article, some SME, especially micro and small enterprises, lack the financial sophistication which to participate in the formal financial sector. In conclusion, to address these challenges, government intervention is essential because having a supportive legal, regulatory and financial framework is required, which can improve the SME access to finance. While supply side perspective face challenges that prevent institutional funds from flowing to the SME sectors. The first one is about cost effectiveness of loans. So due to economies of scale, banks prefer larger loans over smaller ones even though the SME quality is good. So next is about information asymmetry and dilemma problems. Since SME often have limited and poor financial record, making it hard for lenders to assess credit risk. This creates dilemma problems which banks cannot fully evaluate the risk of lending to SME, leading to the issue of adverse selection and moral hazard. Next, about higher transaction costs. The fixed costs of assessing loan application are the same, but to cover this cost, financial institutions are often charge higher interest rates for smaller loans, making less attractive to SME. Next is about inadequate lending technologies. So financial institutions often lack the proper lending technologies to assess SME effectively. The reason is because larger institutions have comparative advantages in using hard information for decision making, which work well for large firms. However, lending to SME are often require more soft information, which harder to assess and verify. The last one is SME lack of having business plans, which make difficult for lenders to assess their repayment abilities.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Novara, student ID 2022838398 from AC1105N. I'll present about SME funding lacuna in Malaysia. What is lacuna? Lacuna means unfilled space of gap. So, SME funding gap in Malaysia. SME have been one of key drivers of the nation's economic growth. There are two important roles for SME, which are thrust of Malaysian economic policy and impetus for broad-based economic growth. What does it mean? Thrust of Malaysia's economic policy is SME strengthens domestic demand and promotes sources of growth which becomes dynamism into the economic sectors, while impetus for broad-based economic growth is provide linkage between subsectors that make SME source of dynamism and agility. The following discussion will discuss about this issue from supply and demand perspective. Unfulfilled demand happen when SMEs are constrained from achieving economies of scale in the purchase of inputs like equipment, raw materials, finance, and consulting services. It is difficult for SMEs to access functions like training, market intelligence, logistics, and technology. SMEs also not able to compete on their abilities to innovate or upgrade due to lack of financial resources. The Malaysian government has taken various steps to solve this issue and alleviate constraints that affect it by allocated significant fund from banking and financial institutions comprising banking and non-banking institutions. But in spite of government priorities and efforts to help SMEs, certain segments still lack of financing access, which have become major challenges that hinder their growth and development. The common lack of accessibility to acquire funding is timeliness of approval and disbursement and institutional funding, today even more than 3 months for SMEs and even longer for smaller size. Due to this, banks are seen to be not user-friendly as there is so much process need to be done. This problem will leave borrowers, which is SMEs, with a tight cash flow position while waiting for approval. Other than that, lack of knowledge to start a small business tend to increase the risk profile of SMEs. Next, traditional commercial banks and investors have been reluctant or not willing to provide financing services to SMEs because they do not trust SMEs to be able to pay back their loan. Things became worse when most Malaysian SMEs start to approach external sources to finance business development, such as loan shark or any unregistered lender. This results in SMEs rely heavily on debt finance. And the last obstacle in making loans more accessible to any borrower is the information asymmetry between the borrowers and the lenders. This happens when the borrowers have private information about the firm that the lenders do not have. The small size and have shorter business history, lack of accounting record, and lack of business plan make the problem even more pronounced to SMEs. By all those obstacles, government rationing credit by limiting the loan amount or increasing interest rate to limit the risk of lenders and reduce information asymmetry. But this approach does not fully accepted by SMEs as they need to pay more or have limit to what they can do. Next, we will discuss from supplier's perspective about this issue.
And hi, I am Ani Sofia binti Muhammad Zaini with a matrix number 2022479236. My explanation is about funding for access fund. Today's environment issue is about Malaysian SME Phase 3 regulatory under both financial institution act with impact loan accessibility. As you guys can see, for the first point of collateral requirement, it stems from the high percentage of risk associated with lending to SMEs as lenders face significant information asymmetry regarding borrowers' project and profiles. Consequently, SMEs may encounter high interest rates and lower loan approval amounts. Secondly, opaque borrower. This results in credit rationing characteristic by high interest rate and lower loan approval amounts. So, to overcome this issue, there is a few incentives including government initiative and credit guarantee cooperation. They are essential for addressing financial gaps. Also, introduce complexities that can hinder timely access to funds for certain SME groups. Okay, so let's move to this part. There are the efforts to reduce risk. First, the establishment of credit bureaus such as SME Credit Bureau Malaysia. This is to provide credit profiles of potential borrowers and help in reducing the risk perception arising from asymmetry information. Second, effort to securitize SME loans through the establishment of National SME Development Council. This will increase the lender's tolerance for risk, which will result in banks becoming more realistic when devising loan covenants, hence speeding up loan drawdown and improving accessibility. And then lastly, the formation of a SME special unit in Bank Malaysia further helps to speed up loan accessibility. So, if you guys can see the picture I insert below, first, photo is between agreement SME with Credit Bureau Malaysia, and the second one is photo of SME Bank Negara Malaysia. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next, on transaction cost, we talk about the cost implication of small loans, complex approval processes, challenges with SME, and lastly, the dependency on relationship lending. So first, for cost implication for small loans, processing smaller loans incurs higher per unit cost compared to larger loans due to extensive administrative and procedural requirements. So next is complex approval processes, which loan application require multiple stages of approval from branch offices to head offices, leading to increased transaction costs and slower access to financing. So apart from that, the limited financial documentation from SMEs, as many SMEs lack standardized financial statements or fixed assets, making it difficult for lenders to evaluate their creditworthiness using conventional methods. So lastly, we talk about the dependency on relationship lending, which the lenders rely on building long-term relationships with SME borrowers to gather soft information such as repayment behavior, which can increase the depreciation and the operational costs. In conclusion, access to financing remains a significant challenge for Malaysian SMEs, largely due to high transaction costs and opaque borrower profiles. While most research focuses on the demand side, addressing SME-specific issues like financial documentation and loan accessibility, this study emphasizes the supply-side barriers such as high processing costs and inefficient systems, which contribute to financing difficulties. Addressing the supply side inefficiencies and exploring innovative solutions to reduce costs are crucial areas for future research. So resolving SME financing challenges is vital, as SME play a pivotal role in driving Malaysia's economic growth. Thank you.